line-down games from the mayor's office. I'll be very brief because I think it's 8.
Yeah. Yeah.
A few announcements. The mayor announced the permanent extension of the student year program with DCPS, adding 20 additional days to the school year from 180 to 200. It is very important, especially for some students, that have special needs. That time is actually essential for those to catch up and be on par with their peers. Also, DCPS will be having a book bag drive, and you can donate book bags at any Department of Human Services Service Center or the DCPS warehouse around the corner on B Street. That's 3535 B Street. So you can donate that before August 7th. And then a week ago, the mayor announced $2 million in grants to 24 nonprofit organizations for out-of-school timing. A plethora of them are focused on STEM programs, a few on space and aeronautics, and then some on green sustainable initiatives. The mayor also was with the Department of Youth and Rehabilitative Services, where they'll be mowing the lawns of seniors. So if you know of seniors who need lawn care, please send them my way, and I'll have my cards in the back. And then last but not least, well, 2 more things. I apologize. As you know, we are part of the $15 minimum wage initiative. So the minimum wage went from $11.50 to $12.50, and
on what date?
July 1st. Yes, effective July 1st. And then also, we'll be having an event Friday, July 21st, and I'll put this out on the listserv. The Department of Energy and Environment, Department of Employment Services, and a organization called Great Alternative. You've probably heard of them. They'll be hiring a number of youth, and there's actually 3 cohorts that will go on with our hiring. This is a year-round program, and they'll be doing installations on a few homes in Trinidad from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. So please speak to me after the meeting or take my card, and I'll get you more information. I guess I'll just open up the questions if you have them. Yes, Commissioner.
So, I had been in correspondence with you about, and I think, about the cars that are being parked along Trinidad Avenue, Rome Street, Sims Place, and also Meads. So they're abandoned, they are Maryland temporary tag vehicles or no tag vehicles, and they're being really slick with how they do this. Like if they come by and they get a ticket, they remove the ticket. We've addressed this at the rec center, but I'm just wanting to know what is being done about the cars, because I actually have pictures now, because I took pictures of all the ones that are there, and I could share those with you. But what they're doing is it's a car that has a pickup on the back. It's
sure.
like if you get that one, they aren't able to move anything.
Yeah.
So
I've actually been through Trinidad Avenue a couple of times, and I'm seeing what he does. He changes the tags, especially against those dealer tags and temporary tags, and he moves them around. And
he parks them bumper to bumper.
He does.
So you cannot get them.
And I was supposed to be coming back with a plan of action for you. I'll be coming with that very soon. But it's not just on that part of Trinidad.
It's all throughout.
It's all throughout.
Mm-hmm.
And I have actually observed a number of individuals, but it can be very hard to say it's that individual. He's the owner of the car, but we're working on it. And it's not, and like I said, it's all throughout Trinidad. Even on closer to Florida Avenue, there's a few people who are parking cars and they're moving them to people's homes. So I'll be working with MPD and DPW parking enforcement to resolve that. So please, keep pushing me to get you that plan of action. Yes,
Mr. Gaines. So in light of that,
Yeah.
why did the district rescind the 3 days? You have to move your car within 3 days, because that rule would allow these cars to be towed, at least noted, because we don't see them being. Sometimes you see a ticket, but you don't.
They're permanent. They're parked there long term. So I'm just wondering why there can't be some type of regular routine surveillance, just seeing exactly, it's the same cars and many of them don't even have tags. How can you park a car with no tags for long term? And then people who are parking and have tags, they're getting tickets for being like parked next to the stop sign.
Or doing street cleaning.
So that's not right.
And we did have a problem with that parking on the recreation center. And that was
There are more
government
cars
property.
back over there again.
And to say, I can just leave a car on district property. I mean, you should be able to tow that one.
Yes,
With
we
no
have-
car.
Don't do
we
that
have it.
either, because we have that issue that I noted within our
District property.
community, yeah, district property. Actually, I noticed that they tend to have more illegal activity there than anyone else, because a private homeowner will contact the police, but the government ignores the emails when it's.
Well, I mean, please, you know, I do have a very open to resolve any issue, but I'm actually going to be meeting and sitting down with parking enforcement tomorrow, MPD, because it makes sense not just in Trinidad, it makes sense in some parts of Harbor Langston.
Yeah, matter of fact, Friday is going to be my parking tow day, so I want you to participate in that. We're gonna tow, as many illegal vehicles, and by illegal, I mean vehicles with no tags. Can't be parked on any street, or even private property without tags. So if we know of them, and if, I know my constituent is outside, but if there's anyone else, I don't recognize anyone that's from 5D05, but if anywhere in my area that you notice a car that fits that description, it's going to be towed. It's going to be towed.
And essentially,
So we'll be talking about that.
I'll definitely follow up. And also, I mean, honestly, we have asked for regular routine monitoring of cars. At first, it was a few specific streets that we pointed out. Well, I'll just also to everyone, Tuesdays and Thursdays are our board days. And I'll cut it short after that, but I'll talk quite a while. But Tuesdays and Thursdays, we're going through the neighborhoods. You know, we'll go through Harbor Langston, we'll go through Trinidad, we'll go to Ivy City. We're looking at that low-hanging fruit because there's a lot of streets we have to cover in a short amount of time.
That's right. The 1800 block of I Street, there are at least 5 cars with no tags. We told several of them, and we're gonna retold the remaining of them. Remainder of them.
Anything else?
No, that was not.
All right, well, thank you.
Oh, yes, sir.
Just tagging on the parking conversation, I just wanted to try and find out, because I live in Ivy City and there's a lot of development that's coming in the pipeline. And already parking on certain days can be a bit of an issue. What's the process to turn a street into residential only parking?
You get residential permanent parking. You would essentially apply, and with a certain percentage of 51% of the residents on the block have to sign the petition, and then DDOT will come back with a report, and I can get you that petition, and then we get your information at the meeting. We'll work on it. Then which street do you live on?
Providence?
Okay.
DPW is doing a fabulous job towing illegally parked vehicles on street sweeping day. They're on point. They show up on time, and they're doing it vigorously. We love it. We love it.
Even our neighbors. That's the thing that's frustrating. You know, the legal cars for street cleaning, they get ticketed and towed, but the illegal cars.
So they're getting told for street sweeping, they're all illegally parked, even if they are our neighbors.
All right, so thank you, Mr. Gaines.
Thank you all for your time.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Now we have some items to be voted on. First item we have on the agenda is support for reopening the Maryland Avenue Arboretum Gate. A parent from Two Rivers, whose child was part of that group when the security officer approached them in the Arboretum. And he thought that if the gate was open in Maryland Avenue, basically they're gonna have to go through the security gate. It's that altercation. So that prompted him to request that we reopen the gate in support of that parent that is not in, the child is not a 5D resident, but the school is in 5D, and I'm sure there's some 5D residents, students at that school. So that's what this request is for. It's just a letter to send to the director of the Arboretum to ask them to reopen again on Maryland Avenue. Now, Commissioner Butler.
Before we vote on that, are we going to appropriately address, single member district reports?
At the end. It's on the, okay, it's on the,
You changed.
yeah, it's,
I
that's,
have
okay.
some concerns about that discussion.
About the gate,
Yes.
okay, Commissioner Henderson.
Yes, I understand why citizens may want an additional access to the Arboretum. I do too. However, that gate was closed from my understanding, because of a homicide back in the 70s. That's the information I have. I also understand that the U.S. National Arboretum has a budgetary constraint. And based on where the Arboretum, that back gate is located, it would require vigorous policing to protect citizens. And until we can have a really vigorous discussion amongst, I understand that that gate is actually physically located in 5D04, but
Yes,
it
it
also
is.
impacts 5D03 and 5D05. And we want to, and we're affected legitimately and lawfully, we are affected commissions, and we want the opportunity to discuss with the Arboretum director and the police chief about the impact it will have on the community. Right now, our police resources are drained, which is one of the reasons why we have to have a summer crime initiative. So if we're going to open that gate, we need to make sure that everyone using that gate is safe. And in order to do that, we need to make sure that there's a full complement of officers to patrol. And right now, I don't think we have the officers to ensure safety as we deserve.
Commissioner Butler.
Excuse me, Commissioner Henderson, that's in my area, and I would appreciate it if you, as me, make that decision, as far as that gate being open, and I'm quite sure there's other people here that would like that gate to be open, because they would have to walk all the way around to Blacksburg Road. I'm also aware of the homicide, and a lot of the children and stuff, especially me, growing up in that area in the 70s, we all used that, back gate to get into the arboretum.
I understand that some people don't like to walk, but that issue, while again, I'll say it's in 5D04, but it also affects 5D03 and 5D05. And I will certainly weigh in on behalf of the constituents that I represent.
And I would too.
And certainly, I want to say, if we're expected to vote on something, I think it's appropriate that all the commissioners have a full sphere of understanding. I think to get that full sphere of understanding, Commissioner Blacknell, perhaps there's a way that we can get the director of the Arboretum and maybe police chief or the Commander Fitzgerald to talk about what resources can be allocated to keep people safe, to make sure that the things of the past are not repeated.
Okay, and with a bit of the history on that, the gate was closed to keep the residents out of the Arboretum. It wasn't the safety of the people visiting the Arboretum.
Thank you, yes.
The murder happened at night, body was found at the gate, and it was in the 80s.
It doesn't mean it can't happen.
No, it doesn't mean what I'm just saying, but what I'm saying is it was a little insulting when they closed the gate. We were a little insulted because you were saying now that we're not worthy of going into the Arboretum from the Maryland Avenue gate. They put everything on us. It was a crime that happened on Maryland Avenue, outside the gate, and it still can happen again with the gate closed.
It could happen inside the gate too.
Yeah, it could happen inside the gate, but the gate was closed at night. The gate wasn't open 24 hours. It was a nighttime murder. The gate was only open when the Arboretum was open, the gate was open. And it would give access to the children that use the Arboretum for their little gardens, walk from the school, so they can walk in and use the Arboretum. So we're talking about the daytime opening, and I understand that I understand what you're saying, that you want, but then I understand you're not familiar with it.
But things have also changed a lot since the 70s and the 80s, and I think
Yes.
safety is a paramount concern.
But it wasn't a safety issue for the people visiting the Arboretum. The issue was the safety issue of the people that live in
And I
there.
have a completely thorough understanding of that. My concern is, it could be, and I think to ensure that it isn't, in the future, then we should know what infrastructure there will be put in
Need a
place
public
to
discussion.
ensure
Yeah,
that
need a public discussion.
issues of public safety are not a concern.
There needs to be a thorough public